Whenever I talk about Alberta on this app, people from Alberta get upset because they say I'm making generalizations. And that's okay, because I am generalizing an entire province of people, because obviously there are shades, there are gradients. However, I have grown up and lived a lot of places. I grew up in Ontario. I can tell you a lot of people in Ontario are Hicks. A lot of people in Ontario gut, skin, and bleed their deer in their garage. And then they clean it all up and have a party in it. They drink beers every weekend, go ice fishing and hunting. I fear that's not a hot take. I've also lived in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I remember when I moved across the country when I was like early, like 18, 19. And everyone told me, drive through Winnipeg, do not stop, keep your doors locked. The crime rate's really there, like really high there. I lived there for a year or two and my coworker was unalived. Yeah, only person I know that's been unalived by another human being intentionally was when I lived in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I lived in Vancouver. I live in Vancouver. I've lived in BC. There's a lot of rich, hoity-toity people and a lot of people who like to eat granola. And sometimes those people overlap. A lot of people that care about money. And then there's Alberta. I've experienced racism in Ontario towards Indigenous people, but there's no Black people where I grew up. That was not a community of people that existed in my hometown when I was being raised. So the racism was directly towards Indigenous people. And then I lived in Edmonton, Alberta. And the first week I lived there, I called my mom crying and said, I want to leave. This reminds me so much of back home, but like worse. Because you have a whole bunch of people working on the oil fields, doing a whole bunch of recreational things, taking a whole bunch of substances while they're at the gym, more so than any other province I've ever lived in. And then I also happened to live there during COVID and knew people that were selling the cards to pretend they got vaccinated. And there's a larger population of not just Indigenous people, different people of color. And I got to see firsthand the racism, the blatant racism, whereas back home, it was all towards Indigenous people. And then in Alberta, specifically to everybody, and believe it or not, biracial, French Canadian, Indigenous. But every time that I talk about the fact that, and like this seems to be lost on the people that are from Alberta when this is addressed, whenever I say anything about Alberta, they get really offended about the allegations of racism. I've never seen a Confederate flag in any other province. Granted, I haven't spent time in Saskatchewan. Yeah, but Confederate flags in Canada,